The installation and inspection standards require knowledge of both the hazardous area and the equipment installed within the hazardous area. To that end, the first thing that we must do is set up the area to be inspected. To create an area, make sure you're in the location section, and if you need to add a new area, you can click this button to add a new area. But when you first start iEx, you'll be given an area to enter initially. So first we title the area, and then we determine what type of area it is. This could be portable equipment, rental equipment, in storage, fixed installation, rigs, skids, whatever you want it to be. All of these types can actually be added in the systems management section, which we will come to later. We can also determine whether the area is a main area or a sub area, so we can divide large areas into different zones with different requirements. The most common requirement which is necessary for any inspection is to determine whether the environment is a flammable gas, a flammable dust, or in some cases a safe area that requires hazardous area protective equipment to be installed, such as Xena barriers. In this case we've selected gas and dust, but you'll note if we do select, for example, just a gas environment, it will grey out all of the requirements for a dust explosive atmosphere. The exclusion consequence is for connecting the EPL, the explosion protection level. In most cases this will be set to normal, but if there is a very high explosion consequence, we can set it here and we can ensure that we have the correct explosion protection levels for that consequence. Ingress protection requirements can also be set, together with local ambient temperatures, inspection frequencies, and the inspection scheme which is being run, IECEx, IEC or NEC. On the right hand side, we also have the characteristics for the flammable material. We have the gas zone, 0, 1 or 2, we'll leave it at 1. The gas group, again, these can be selected or added to in the customization menu. The temperature requirement, in this case we'll set T4, and any special requirements can be programmed into the custom fields. The custom fields can be set to record any information you want, from longitude and latitude through to certificate numbers or special conditions. Once this information has been entered, we simply save it. Once saved, you'll now see the area in the Area Structure tab, and you'll see it in the list. By appearing in the list, we now have full Boolean search. We can search by location names beginning with, equal to, containing. This is very useful when we build up a complicated map of a large area. To add another area, simply click Add New. In this case, we will call it Area 2, and we will make it a dust-only area. To add a sub-location to any of our locations, we can simply add another area, part of Area 1, and tell it which location it is a sub-location to. In this case, we'll have a safe area, but we may wish to install some hazardous area equipment in it, such as a Xena barrier. The area is now nested as part of Area 1, but will not have any zone requirements connected to it. Once you've entered your locations, you'll find you have a number of tabs which we can use for various useful actions. The Equipment tab is where you can add equipment directly to the location. There are a number of ways of adding equipment, but this way is very useful for simply adding 1 or 2 items to an area that's already populated. So you can see I've added a couple of items of equipment here. To add equipment, I simply click Add Equipment. I can then put in a reference. This can be from a barcode or an RFID tag. In fact, we can even print barcodes directly from the software. If you're scanning with a handheld device, all of this information will be pre-populated when you scan the device. We can select the type of equipment we're going to install. If the type of equipment isn't on the list, or you'd like a much shorter list, again we have complete control of what appears in the description in the custom area. We can also add the manufacturer, the type, the model number, the IECEx category or EPL of the equipment. This is very important because the system is able to check that the equipment you're adding is suitable for the hazardous area which you've defined. EPL is blanked out because IECEx was selected as a preferred system, but you can use IEC or NEC based systems, selecting Division 1, Division 2, GA, GB, categories, whichever system you've decided to use for your particular environment. In this case we'll select IECEx category 2, which is normally suitable for zone 1 with a normal explosion protection level. We can select our concepts, our ambient, our gas group, our temperature classification, and any special conditions which will then appear in notes. But we won't add too much more on equipment because that'll be done in a separate section. Going back to locations, as well as adding our equipment, we can also look at the combined explosion protection level of all of the equipment. This is incredibly useful for when we're specifying a skid or a portable piece of apparatus, as this will actually determine the overall classification of the explosion protection level for that equipment, what areas it can be put into. It will take the worst case of all of the entered parameters to determine this label for you, or this overall specification for you. In the Tools tab, we can directly import equipment lists. So rather than adding equipment one at a time individually, we can actually download a spreadsheet to give us our headings and put all of the equipment in a spreadsheet, or simply take a spreadsheet you may already have of your equipment and import it directly in to the correct location. We have another tool which is for designing intrinsically safe systems. This is one I entered earlier. We can select from a number of barriers, numbers of types of equipment, an ever-increasing list, different cable types, and then simply press the button calculate, and it will determine whether or not that's a safe system, and it will also generate a full report as required by the system standard, which will give you all of the necessary calculations and even a hazardous area system drawing, loop drawing, for future inspectors to check. Actions allows us to schedule actions for the location. So as well as scheduling inspections for equipment, we can schedule actions such as the need to carry out an area classification or to calibrate gas detectors. All of those will be recorded in the diary, and when we run our various reports we can see if any actions haven't been carried out. Attachments allow us to attach things like area classification drawings or data sheets for materials, and notes is just a free area where we can type anything we like that's relevant to the location.